At last week's Nebraska Grazing Conference in Kearney, we talked with Trey Patterson from Padlock Ranch in northern Wyoming. Trey presented during Wednesday's session about Padlock Ranch's grazing operation and some of the challenges it faces. We spoke with him about things producers might find helpful to consider with calf management leading up to weaning. Trey, give me an overview of your operation in Wyoming.
We are a diversified cow-calf farm feedlot operation in northern Wyoming, southern Montana. Cow-calf production, we put calves into a growing yard in the fall, feed them forages from our farm, and make yearlings out of them to sell in the spring. We're actually selling cattle throughout the year, but they're delivered, most of them, in the spring of the year.
Trey, tell me why it's important to look at calf management going into the weaning period.
Well, I think a lot of times we do a good job in calf management, through branding time, maybe through midsummer managing pastures, but I think it's critical that we finish well. You want the calves in the best nutritional health that we can have going into weaning. If you're retaining ownership, you fill that yourself, right? Because you've got to deal with the health issues. But if you're selling cattle, the cattle buyers want cattle that are healthy. And so things like having appropriate grass management, keeping cattle on good feed, good mineral supplements, I think is really critical. So it's about finishing well.
How do you use mineral supplementation in your operation?
Well, we'll strategically design minerals by analyzing the forage. We know what they need. You try to keep that as least cost as you can. But we want to supply enough mineral to these pairs late in the summer where the calf has an opportunity to consume some of that mineral, and just to set them up so their immune function is good. That depends somewhat on whether you got mineral issues in your area or not.
You mentioned the timing. Can you explain what role the cow, the calf, and the market all play into managing the timing of weaning?
Well, sure. I think one of the things that you have as a manager under your control as you near the fall of the year is to shut off that lactation. And the lactation can be a cheap source of gain for your calves, or it could end up being an expensive source if it's pulling the cow down in condition too far and you have to feed them out of it. So it's if you're paying attention to that, you can extend weaning to allow you to sell more weight, a bigger calf. You can early wean to put more condition on cows. But you can also, the other factor that plays into that is watching what the market signals are telling you and the best time to pull those calves.
Yeah, how talented do you have to be to manage the fluctuations of a market in today's age?
More talented than me, I guarantee you. I think there's certainly analytical tools that you can use. You really just got to use your best judgment. And what we do in our operation is not sell cattle on any one particular day. We try to spread that out to diversify the risk.
How do you do heifer development on your operation?
Well, I think in our operation, calves are weaned, and then we do not try to put a lot of gain on the heifers. They're either stay in a growing yard and are fed a forage-based ration for a slower gain, or if we've got available feed, we turn them back out onto grass, and we'll run them out on grass during the winter. It's tremendous cost savings if you can do that.
You went to school at Nebraska, you did some extension work in South Dakota, you're now working at a ranch in Wyoming. How different is ranching from place to place to place?
Well, I think there are underlying fundamental principles that are the same. These concepts about understanding your lactation curve, understanding nutrition, those are all the same, but every operation, even within state and even within county, is different. And so you have to look at your own individual system and what fits. So there's a lot of diversity, but that's what makes our industry great.
What are some of the challenges that Wyoming ranchers have?
I think one of the big challenges is water. Just water availability and water quality is a tremendous issue. Water's certainly an issue where we're at. What we've been able to do is inventory our ranch resources and use the areas that are better watered in the summertime and use those areas that are poorly watered in the wintertime because the cattle can utilize some snow.